All right, the first video of the week is going to cover the executive branch. Now, the executive branch is covered in Article 2 of the Constitution. And basically, it outlines who our president is or who our president could be, what they do, how much they make, basically what their job is. The first thing I want you to look at is right here, and that's going to be the age and the requirements. So to be the president or vice president, you have to be 35 years old, you have to be a native-born citizen of the United States, and you have to be a resident of the United States for 14 years. Now, what I want you to do is think about why do you have to be a resident for 14 years. Now, it's not just 14 years overall, it has to be 14 consecutive years. Also outlined in the Constitution is the limit to the terms in which the president can serve, which is going to be a 4-year term, his salary, and his succession in case something happens to him. So if the president can no longer fill his position, the Constitution covers who will take over for him. Now, the other thing that is very important about the executive branch to start off with is the idea of the Electoral College. Now, if you look at the United States, it's way too big. So what they were concerned about at the writing of the Constitution is the transmission or the spread of information. Are people going to be out of the loop when it comes to electing the person to lead our country? The country is way too big, and they have to figure out, are people actually going to be informed enough to elect the right person? So what they did was, in the Constitution, they made up something called the Electoral College. Now, the Electoral College are the true people who actually decide who the president is when there's a presidential election. So the people, when we go to the polls, we go and we cast our popular vote, but the Electoral College, they're the people whose vote really matters when it comes to picking the president. The Electoral College normally looks at who the popular vote winner is, and they'll base their vote off of that. And so it kind of does still matter, well, it really does still matter that people still go out and cast their popular vote, which is the normal citizens like you and me. It's important that we vote so the Electoral College will know who we really want as far as our leadership is concerned. Now, the way the Electoral College set up is that there are 538 electoral votes. Each state has electoral votes, and the electoral votes are based off their representation in Congress. Now, as we already said, each state has 2 senators, and their other representation is based off their population. So if we look at North Carolina really quickly, I'm going to zoom in on that. All right. Now, North Carolina, we have 13 members in the House of Representatives, and we have 2 senators like every other state. So that means we have 15 total representatives in Congress, and that means we have 15 total votes in the Electoral College. So our 15 votes will go to the overall vote count when it comes to figuring out who the electoral winner is in the Electoral College. Now, looking back at that number, 538, is one more thing I want you to consider. If the number is 538, we have to assume that no candidate is going to get all 538 electoral votes. So I want you to kind of think of what number would be the electoral number in which a candidate would have to reach. Now, this is an introduction to the executive branch, just giving you the basics of what the requirements or qualifications of the president are, and other things that are found in the Constitution. So once again, you see your qualifications and other important constitutional amendments that were added that define the job, office, position, and branch of the executive office.